Hello, this is Sunil Sunder with njvarsity.rivals.com. I'm happy to welcome in Jerry Flora. Uh, Jerry's the regional scouting director for Dream Scouting Network and the former head coach for William Paterson University. Coach Flora, thank you so much for taking some time out to speak with me tonight.
Thank you, Sunil. Appreciate
Hey,
it.
congratulations, Coach Flora, on again, your job there as the regional scouting director for Dream Scouting Network. I think started there last summer. I think August 2020. Can you talk about, of course, just before we came on the air, about there are several players, of course, you're working with, and just if you can dive right into that.
Yeah, I just, after leaving William Paterson, I was looking for different opportunities. I wanted to, one of my goals when I left was, I worked at Kane for a year with Coach Garrett. And then, I had to look at other opportunities. So I was trying to get into scouting. And so I found this company called Sports Management Worldwide.
Mhm.
Took a class with them this past summer. I got a professional certification in GM and scouting, which helped me learn a lot about the NFL. Learned about scouting, the salary cap, draft status, all those things. And then that's how I found Dream Scouting Network.
Mhm.
And was looking for some other opportunities. I wanted to see how we're going to streamline. I think what kind of really helped me was part of my class was I had to interview executives. So I got a chance to meet so many great executives in the NFL. I interviewed like the CFO for Harris Blitzer Entertainment. They own like the Devils and the Sixers. I interviewed some assistant GMs, and it was a great opportunity, and started working with them in August. And the goal was trying to get a couple of kids, and sure enough, 5 months later, I think I have 20. I'm representing 23 kids now, 23 prospects. So it's been exhilarating. It's something that I enjoy doing. It's been fun. So
That is outstanding, Coach Flora. Can you just, I guess, walk people through, just what the daily work is involved for you, and as far as dealing with just reaching out to player, high school, I guess, senior football players. If you just can talk about that, Coach.
yeah, well, when I remember one of the things I learned when I first started with the company. They said that you want to make sure you're on social media. You want to make sure that Twitter is kind of where everybody is. So I expanded my account when I first started in August. I think I had like 150 followers, and I think now, as of December, or as of January, I think I'm over 1,600 followers. So that's kind of helped me build some traction. I just, I'm reaching out to kids. I'm really trying to educate them and their families. And I think a lot of people, with the COVID and with everything going on and with remote learning and no one having seasons, I think people are misinformed. They think, well, because we didn't have a season, it's going to be hard for us to get into a college. And I tell people all the time, it's, as a former head football coach, you can tell in the first couple of plays if a young man or woman can play. And it really doesn't matter what the level of play is. So I've been fortunate. Like I said earlier, I'm right now working with, let's see, I have 1 sophomore, 11 juniors, and 12 seniors.
Okay.
And I started kind of in the Northeast. So I kind of had from Maine to Virginia and as far west as kind of the Ohio River Valley. And then, I started to grow this national brand, and I signed a young man from Florida through his father I went to high school with. Signed a linebacker from North Carolina, and then I got the quarterback, Bryson Singer from West Virginia. He's the top-ranked quarterback in the state. And then I recently signed Stratton Smith, who's from Oxford, Mississippi. So now my brand is kind of blown up to the point where, on top of the 6 guys from Jersey, I'm working with Cedar Creek, Secaucus, 2 from Bergen Catholic and 2 from DePaul Catholic. Then I'm working with 2 in Westchester County, 2 in New York City, 1 in Staten Island, and a bunch in Long Island. So, it's really all it is, I'm using my network. I'm reaching out to coaches that I know on all levels, sharing film, sharing their grades, sharing their bio. I do my homework, and it's just nonstop, it's nonstop reaching out, following up, phone calls. I mean, I'm working probably 10, 12 hours a day. I'm working a little bit during the day. I come home, I have dinner. I'm up until doing Zooms until 10 o'clock. And then after that, I'm up until, 1, 2 in the morning watching film and evaluating film and sending out emails. And so it's been really nice because I wanted to get into scouting. And it's funny now because I was just dealing with football, but because I have such a vast network, I just got reached out to a few days ago from a former player. His son is a dual player lacrosse and football. So now I'm going to start diving into other sports too. So.
Oh, that's tremendous. That's great to hear, Coach Flora. I mean, yeah, I was just thinking that, of course, with all the knowledge that you have, all the expertise, especially, from coaching at the college level and now being able to apply it here, of course, to, Dream Scouting Network, I said, for you, I mean, this is just, phenomenal times. I mean, just the fact that you'll be able to work with, spread, as you said, work across the country. It's just not relegated to the Northeast, but it's just across the country. You're able to, again, deal with the, players. That's
and one of the things that's been happening lately that I've been trying to use as a technique that seems to be working is, if for example, Logan Ivy, who's down in Florida, if he tweets something about whatever happens down there, I tell everyone that's on my team, because that was my goal. I wanted to build a team, just like when I was at William Paterson and so on and so forth. So I tell all the guys on the team, if someone on the team tweets something, then you need to like the tweet and repost the tweet. And the reason why is because now you're entering into their network. So if he's looking at schools in Florida, Alabama, South Carolina, Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana, and then now all of a sudden you like a tweet, you're up in New Jersey. Now if someone down in that area sees your film and they're like, who is this guy? Now they reach out to him. It's now you've just expanded your network.
Yeah.
And that's what, some people don't understand. Like I've had people reach out to me and ask me, how you, how are you getting, I'm getting probably getting 2 people sign up a week. I'm probably getting 7 to 8 questionnaires a week. It's, it's not, I'm a people person. I was a Division III football coach for a number of years. Mm-hmm. I know how to relate. I'm passionate about what I do. I'm not fake about anything. If you ask me any question about college football, I'm probably going to have the answer. And I know everything there is to know about the NCAA and eligibility and the timelines and the deadlines. So, it's like anything else. If you want to buy a car, you go to an experienced car guy. You go to an experienced car place. You don't go to a guy that just started working in a car place. Just like you and I were talking about. You want to work in sportscasting. Yeah. You know what? You want to be around people that are like-minded people that are good sportscasters. Yeah. So it's just like that with anything else.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's just fascinating, Coach, that, with the power of social media, especially with Twitter, how much, again, you can build that network and, these, of course, these players, definitely, capitalize on that. And, even to build upon that, or just as far as them using the highlight, it said applications. Of course, Huddle is a big thing, for the high school football players. Just wanted to ask you about that. Just the technology is just remarkable. How much it's really changed.
You talk. I always joked about with my players when I was coaching. When we used to have to watch film when I was in college, and I'm dating myself because I played in the 80s,
Yeah.
Your only choice was to go down to the coach's office and sit in the office with him.
Yeah.
And you would get yelled at. You would get a couple of high fives, but most of the times you'd sit there with the remote on a VHS tape and going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It wasn't like, as time went on, like in my years at William Paterson, we went from VHS tapes where guys had to come down and watch film to mini DVs to when mini DVs went to discs, CDs,
Yep.
CDs went to Huddle, and Huddle went to, hey, listen, coach, can you upload the film? Because, an hour and a half after practice, I want to watch the film.
Yeah.
And I think that my only problem is, and I think it's all well and good, but my only problem is I think that sometimes people rely too much on it. So they don't, it's like, like if I don't send a video clip, so if I'm evaluating film at William Paterson after practice and I tag these 10 plays on this guy in terms of things he has to do, and I don't send him those 10 plays, he won't go in and look and find the 10 plays on his own. And that's not good because, you can't be dependent on somebody else. And, what I love about what I'm doing now is these guys are required, they post their film on Twitter, they post it on Instagram. I take a copy of it and I'll post it on a little bio I put together. But they're responsible to do a lot of the stuff on their own. And I don't guarantee anything with my prospects. I guarantee that I'm going to work really hard for them. And, I'm very transparent and, I'm going to be very upfront and honest with you. But at the same token, you have to do your due diligence as well. So, but yeah, I think it's unbelievable. Now they can watch film on their phone.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I was talking to someone the other day about when cell phones actually started.
Yeah.
But so it's great. It's great where it's going, and hopefully, they you can't get reliant on watching film on just your phone. Yeah. You have to watch it on a blow up or something like that.
That's true. I mean, you see, of course, with college, NFL, I think even, but I don't know so much with the high school game. I mean, you'll be able to watch all this stuff on the iPads, and they're able to get in real time. Get to analyze all the previous plays. It's just incredible. Again,
I know.
I wanted to ask you about Coach Flora. Said quite a bit of time. Over a decade spent at William Paterson University as not only an assistant but the head football coach. Can you talk about your time? And we talk about the athlete, but what was more impressive, Coach Flora, was the student athletes. The guys. I mean, that earned conference honors. I mean, can you talk about? I mean, it's just that these guys went on to do bigger, and better things, even after, I said, leaving the gridiron. Can you just talk about your time there at William Paterson?
It was exciting. I mean, it was the highlight of my life. I mean, I was there for 17 years, and I worked there for 3 years under Coach Rico and then Coach Mielo, and then I was there for 10 years. And it's funny because I used to joke around with Coach Garrett because I always felt like we ran similar programs. And when I went to work for Dan that 1 year, I learned that we basically did. I mean, basically a lot of stuff he was doing was a lot of stuff I was doing. But yeah, I mean, I used to tell one of my talking points when I used to talk to recruits, and then they became our players and their families was, as a player, you actually make out in the deal. So as a coach, I only really get the player for 4 years, maybe 5 if they get injured. But they get us for the rest of their lives. So when they graduate, I'm there for them if there's I just did a letter reference 2 days ago for a guy that played for me 5 years ago. I'm constantly getting letter recommendation requests. I'm constantly doing phone requests for people. Or how many guys are trying to get into the military or law enforcement, and they're doing background checks. And I just I know wins and losses are important, and I talk about this all the time with my colleagues, and but I think on the Division III level it kind of gets lost because a lot of these guys are working 2 and 3 jobs. you know, they're some of them are like the dad of the house, and they're not. They're the son, and you know, some of them commute from, you know, William Paterson to Essex to, you know, other places, and then on top of that, they're expected to put in a ton of hours for football. They're expected to go to class. They're expected to, you know, represent, and, you know, at the same token, hopefully win some games. Yeah. And it's a lot, and I give my guys a lot of credit. I feel fortunate. You know, when I look back and I see that I think we had 125 seniors in 10 years. And I think, you know, from a graduation perspective, I think we did pretty well. We graduated a lot of those guys. A lot of them got their degrees. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's the benefit. The benefit is like, and that's what's helping me with Dream Scouting Network, that people understand. Like, what people understand, like, wow, how do I have so many connections? Because when I was younger, I didn't network like I did now. You know, now student workers, he works for the Dolphins. Another guy was with the Giants for a number of years. Now he's with Rutgers. You know, I got coaches that are all over the place. You know, it's guys are either high school. I mean, I can't tell you how many high school head coaches there are in the state of New Jersey that played in our program. You know, there's assistant coaches. I mean, I did a coaching tree. I mean, there's probably close to, I'd say of the 125 seniors, I said there's probably close to 50 guys that are coaches right now that got into teaching. So that's where, like, as a coach, yeah, we had some success, and yeah, we fell a couple wins here short, or a win here or there, and we had some accolades and some winners and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you know, it's we try to help everyone do their best in school, and we try to get them to understand that was really the most important thing. So, you know, it's that to me, and that's what I tell when I'm selling these kids in this company. I'm telling them that when you decide to go to East Stroudsburg, you decide to go to Bucknell, you decide to go to Ithaca, that's it. It's not over. Like, we're going to stay in touch. I'm going to be there for you if you need a recommendation letter, or you need someone to talk to, or you need someone to work out, or whatever the case is. I want to be there, and that's the same approach I used at William Paterson, which is why I made it 10 years. I mean, you know, as you know, I mean, Coach G's been at his place for a while, and Coach Accorsi's been at his place a while, and it's very hard. It's very hard. It's tough to find coaches that are, Coach Garrett's been there a while, but I mean, you don't see a lot of coaches double digits at a university anymore. Yeah. At least I am.
No, it's true. I mean, the fact that, you know, just talking about Division III, you know, football, coach, you know, how competitive it was. I mean, you know, you talk about Division I and II, but, you know, Division III, I mean, the talent, you know, you spoke about, you know, William Paterson University, but, you know, the other colleges as well, universities, I mean, the talent that, you know, that was able to come out of those places. I mean, what made it so special, you know, said to the coach on that level, on the Division III level?
Well, I think on that level, it's like I said earlier, you got guys that, you know, they really want to play. Yeah. And then, I mean, you're not getting I mean, you get a scholarship, it's an academic scholarship, or you get a little need-based aid, or you get a grant, or you get a tag program or something like that. You're not getting, you know, a $30,000 scholarship to cover your classes. And on top of that, now you're going home and you're working on the weekends to make some extra money. So, you know, what makes that level so special is you're putting at what you put into it, you get out of it. Yeah. So you're putting in that amount of time, and you know, it's funny because our conference, the NJAC, for years. You know, I know it's different now. It's changed. The landscape has changed. It used to be the New Jersey schools, and we had the northern schools like Cortland and Buffalo State and Morrisville State and WestCon and, you know, and Brockport State. And then when they all left, you know, then it became the southern schools like Wesley and Salisbury and Frostburg. I mean, it didn't matter what level. I mean, if you think about it, every NJAC game I think that we've ever coached in, that you've ever seen at William Paterson was a battle. I mean, at least until my last maybe year or so. And, you know, we started to lose some games, and, you know, things started to change a little bit, but every game was a battle. And the reason why was because, you know, there's a lot of really good football players out there. And I think the other problem is that a lot of people don't understand is, in the 80s and even the 90s, there's so many Division III programs. I mean, if you think about it, Hofstra had football. I remember when I was at Iona College, I used to always joke around. We had a great Division III conference. It was Iona, Pace, CW Post, Stony Brook. We had Merchant Marine Academy. We played Hofstra one year. We played Fordham one year. Marist. I mean, all these, they were all Division III. And then, then it went, then a lot of those schools, Fordham went higher level, Hofstra went a higher level, Stony Brook went a higher level, CW Postman, Pace, they also go a high level. So then Iona latched on with the MAC conference. So all the MAC schools started football. You had Fairfield had a program, Canisius had a program, and St. Peter's had a program, and so on and so forth. And then what ended up happening was they had a little, like I said, a rule in college football where there was a rule that was passed that you couldn't have a Division I basketball team and have a Division III program, like at St. John's, for example. St. John's never had Division I football; they had Division III football, but everything else on the campus was the Big East. So what happened was the landscape of college football changed because now schools started dropping football. Yeah. And I always said, Fairfield dropped football. I was surprised a little bit, but when St. John's dropped football, as a man, all bets are off because St. John's had a tradition like no end. I mean, when Iona played St. John's, that was as big a game as you could get. And when we beat them for the MAC championship at their place on a Friday night on MSG Varsity, there had to be about 7,000 or 8,000 people in the stands. And then, then you went to live streaming videos, so there was no more MSG Varsity, or at least for colleges, small colleges. I mean, there was for high schools, but then St. John's dropped, and then Iona dropped, and everyone started to drop, and then that was it. And that's what made it a little bit harder from a scheduling standpoint. But then that made Division III football even that much more, somewhat intense because of the fact that it was less schools. I mean, you think about it. I mean, you think about all the schools that had Division III football that don't anymore. So it's a really good brand of football. It's just unfortunate that all those schools, because scheduling for me was hard. I mean, we think about it. I mean, FDU is in a conference that already has a ton of teams. So I had to go to, we went to Maine one year, Massachusetts, upper New York, down south. I mean, you were driving to go play games.
Just have a couple more. Can't thank you enough for the time, Coach Flora. I want to, you spoke of Iona. I said your alma mater. You got to coach there as well, and then at Fairleigh Dickinson University. I wanted to ask you just about those experiences and what they meant to you as well. Coaching at those places.
Oh, well, coaching at my alma mater was great. Got a chance to work for Coach Crocker, and we had a pretty good run. Unfortunately, I missed the championship by a year, so I have a championship ring, but unfortunately, I was a coach, not a player, which kind of stinks. But yeah. I got a chance to be on a championship team, which was great. And you learned something. We had a run of like 4 or 5 years of really good quarterbacks. We had a Player of the Year, All East, all this, all that. And you think in your life, man, this is the way it is. It's the way it's always going to be. And all of a sudden, you don't have a quarterback. You're like, whoa. One of those things. I had the same problem with William Paterson. We had Matt Marshall, and we had Ryan Gressick, and then we had Austin Fellows, and then it dropped off a little bit. So it was good to be there. I enjoyed my time. I worked at FDU for one season in '98, and at that time I was looking for a job, and with the staff at Iona got let go, and I was teaching in New Rochelle, and I was driving, talking about commitment. I had just gotten married that summer, and I was teaching early childhood learning, and I was driving after work an hour and 10 minutes to get to practice. And then, I was doing that for the season. And then I went back to Iona when Coach Mariani took over, worked for him for 3 years, and that was great. Got me a chance to learn from another guy, and Coach Marion knows so much about football, and great offensive line coach, great offensive mind. So that kind of helped shape my career, so to speak. but I still go back to this day. The part of my career that kind of changed for the best was when I worked for Coach Mielo and Coach Stinson. You know, when unfortunately when Coach Rico, when the university parted ways and I was kind of stuck, I was there. It was full time, so I was still under contract. I had a choice. You know, basically, you know, most of the times they bring in a new coach, you know, and then you usually bring in a new staff, and I kind of knew that. But I've never backed down from a challenge. I've always been a hard worker. So I said to myself, you know what, let me work really hard and let me see what happens. And maybe the new coach will come in and maybe he can give me a recommendation for another job or something. Or maybe the university will keep me and put me somewhere else on campus. Mm-hmm. And I remember I worked like that year when Mike got hired from Rutgers, when he had come from, when Greg was at Rutgers the first time, and Mike came to William Paterson. I had heard the rumors that, you know, Coach Stinson was going to be joining him, and Eddie, you know, one of the better defensive coordinators I've been around in my time. Yeah, I worked with some good ones, but Eddie, yeah, it was amazing to work with him. And I remember the day I was in my office, and you know, they had the press conference for Coach, and he got hired, and I remember Ed was there, and I don't know what you know about William Paterson is, you know, because Division III is not big budget, we only had 2 full-time coaches. So I knew in my head, okay, then I was the odd man out because Coach Stinson was going to be full-time, Coach Mielo was full-time, so I'm done. So I remember, the short story, I remember sitting in my office, I remember, packing up all my stuff, thinking, okay, well, because I had small talk with Coach Mielo, but not much, and I really didn't know too much about him. And I remember he came to my office and he sat down. We went through some logistics about kind of where the program was and how many guys were in a workout program and who was doing the visits and who was doing the strength and conditioning and who was doing the study hall. Because, he got hired probably mid-February. So we were 5-6 weeks into the semester. And I'll never forget, he says to me, he goes, so you've been doing all this stuff. And so he said, who's been helping you? I go, no one. And he's like, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah. And I showed him the recruiting board. We had all these recruits and, guys we still had a vested interest. We still had 65, 70 guys in the program. And he was like, I was like, yeah, me. And I had a student worker, Miss Kelly, outside. And I remember he left. He said, wait a second. He left. He came back. He said, put your stuff down and come down to my office. And I remember I went down to his office. I sat down. And he's like, how would you like to be part of my coaching staff? And I was blown away. I was like, well, because I knew I had a full-time job, and I was like, I don't know if I can do it part-time. He's like, no, you could stay, and we'll work out the details, so you'll be full-time. I said, well, how's that possible? I said, you hired Coach Stinson. And the one thing that people don't know is I basically created the third full-time spot at William Paterson. Because if it wasn't really for Coach Mielo stepping up and believing in me, a person that I didn't even know, and the relationship that him and I have now is amazing. I mean, I speak to Coach every week. I mean, he's there for me whenever I need him, whenever I need to talk to. I mean, he's one of my best friends now, and he's helped me develop I learned so much working with him and Ed, and that's why I'm where I am now. So I give a lot of credit to my own days with Coach Crocker, and obviously all the coaches I worked with up to the point. But if Coach Mielo didn't step up for me, I wouldn't be where I am now.
That's fantastic. You talked about teaching. I don't want to forget, Coach Flora, about the community service you do, and also I was looking at the notes from William Paterson about the camp that you ran. It said JF Camps LLC in Westchester County for boys in grades kindergarten through 8th grade. Just really a good, it said good field story, raising awareness of funds for pancreatic cancer research. Can you just talk about it? I mean, I think that's really, critical, just, what you've been able to do.
It was like Coach Katz, like a lot of guys, I had a side business. I ran football camps, try and make a few extra bucks, and things that kind of dissolved over the years where they don't do week-long camps anymore. They do like short one-day camps. And that's kind of dissolved a little bit. And then, a number of years ago, my father-in-law passed away with pancreatic cancer. And, I looked and saw kind of like Lawrence First and Goal was with what they were doing to raise money. And I thought to myself, well, maybe I can do something, to help out my profession, use my profession to help kids. So, through a lot of my contacts that I have, we put together a camp in White Plains. And it first started off with just a free youth camp where we had 150 kids come for 2 hours. We got all the youth programs together. We got the high school programs together. We got some pro guys, and we had it with a camp. And now it's blown up to the point where now it's we have a 7-on-7 big man competition. 2 years ago, because we didn't do it this year because of the COVID. So 2 years ago, we had 20 teams, and we do it on a Friday night. And all the money that's all the money that comes in from the teams goes as a donation to the Lust Garden Foundation. So I worked at a partnership with the Lust Garden Foundation, and then I raise money. So I've got MasterCard and AXA Equitable, and Rydell would donate some stuff, and Gatorade was involved, and a lot of companies that did matching gifts would get involved, and it's become my thing. Now that's all I do, once a year. So besides doing what I do for Dream Scouting Network, I do that, and I plan for that. And it's a 6-month event to a plan for. But I think 2 years ago, we raised, and this is, my number's a little bit off. So they were raised probably about $8,000, but it's kind of skewed because it wasn't $8,000 we gave to the Lust Garden Foundation. It was the money we raised. Then we had to pay. You had to pay officials and insurance and stuff like that. And we even gave the players. We even raised money to give the players like a post-game meal, like they would in college. So when they were done with their rounds of 4 games, they'd walk over to the tent and they'd grab a box dinner, and then they would go home. So it became a really big thing. It was for a good cause, and we enjoyed doing it. So.
Terrific. Final question I have, Coach Flora. Can't forget about your family. Definitely want to ask you just the support that you have received, from them.
It's been amazing. I mean, you just can't, you can't in this business. Without a support of with my wife and the kids and everyone in the family. I mean,
3 kids.
I was working in White Plains. Yeah. And I was living in White Plains, and I was driving the Wayne every day for 17 years. Yeah. I mean, it's a 50-minute ride in one direction with no traffic. And my wife held it together here, and it became a family thing where we created a family at William Paterson, and we had tailgates and we had families involved. And then my wife would come, and she'd bring the kids, and her friends would come, and it became we made it a family atmosphere, and that's what I remember as a college football player. My parents used to come to every game, and it was a big deal. And that's what we tried to do when I became the head coach at William Paterson. And I know even now, Dustin's doing it now, and he's doing a great job. And Sean is obviously still there with Greg. And, I think they'll get the program back, if not to where I had it, even further than that. So it's kind of exciting.
Sounds good. Hey, Coach Flora, I can't thank you enough for the opportunity to interview you. I said, wishing you continued success, again at Dream Scouting Network.
Sunil, I appreciate it. It was good talking to you. I know we've been talking about doing this for a while, so and I appreciate everything you did to cover my program, and everything was always well written, and I appreciate it. I know my players appreciated it. So thank you very much for what you do.
Thank you.